DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin calling out California Senator Alex Padilla for disrupting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's press conference on Thursday. You may remember Padilla spoke up to ask a question. That's when Secret Service members swarmed him, dragged him out of the room, and then handcuffed him. McLaughlin, writing on X, in part, Padilla tried to manufacture a viral moment, and it's embarrassing and disrespectful. There's no excuse for busting into a press conference and interrupting it. Had the senator asked for a meeting, Secretary Noem would have happily obliged, which she graciously did for 15 minutes after the press conference. Shameful.
Padilla responded over the weekend on CNN. Let's take a listen.
Nothing could be further from the truth. An opportunity to ask a question, maybe get answers that DHS, including the Secretary, will not provide in committee hearings in the Senate, will not respond to the letters that we've sent inquiring. There was an opportunity to ask a question and do my job as a senator, right? Do my job as a senator in questioning a cabinet secretary.
Padilla went on to criticize Noem for not de-escalating the situation as he was being dragged away by her security detail.
How does the cabinet secretary not know the senator from California when she steps foot into Los Angeles? How does the Secretary of Homeland Security not know how to de-escalate a situation? It's because she can't or because they don't want to. And it sets the tone.
McLaughlin responded again on X, quote, "Serious people don't barge into a press conference, interrupt while the Secretary of Homeland Security is giving opening remarks, and then start aggressively lunging toward her, defying officer commands to move back, and then pushing and shoving law enforcement. A kindergartner knows better. It is embarrassing conduct for any person, much less a sitting U.S. senator."
On Thursday, Speaker Johnson also criticized Senator Padilla's conduct, saying it rises to the level of censure. Meantime, Democrats in Congress are praising the senator for speaking out.
So I think that in this case, look, I don't like the optics of anyone being roughed up, including a member of Congress, but you can't just boldly charge forward at
charge is like he walked up to the front, like, answer my question. I don't know about charge.
She was giving a press conference. It's not his turn to ask a question. He interrupted her speaking. They didn't know. They claimed they didn't know who he was.
Noem should know who he was, right? She's escalating his state, making decisions that are affecting everyone.
He's not one of the more well-known senators. I wouldn't have necessarily known if he was sitting. Until now, I would know who he was. I wouldn't know beforehand.
You're not also the head of Department of Homeland Security, so that's not your job to know.
It's your job to have facial recognition for every member of the U.S. Senate.
Especially if they've been sending her multiple letters as he's stating that he was, then maybe you should know who these people are.
Okay, she didn't answer his letters. That didn't give him the right to just like go for her. I mean, you can't do that. Look, the Secret Service is going to stop you every single time. Not just, you don't have some special rights because you're a U.S. senator to charge at her and confront her. They would have stopped anyone in that circumstance, especially in our times of, if we're so heightened in our concerns about political violence. The Secret Service failed to stop an assassin who tried to kill Donald Trump last summer. We had these. It's horrific, this gunning down of Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota that we discussed earlier in the show. Secret Service is allowed to be on high alert for people just, coming up to her, barging it. You can't do that. So I think Democrats are being a little ridiculous to say that this was the greatest travesty and mistreatment of someone of all time.
Well, I don't want to see members of Congress getting arrested over speaking up. I also think two things can be true. He definitely should not have hijacked the mic. Yeah. But asking questions on behalf of your constituents that people actually want to know is part of his job. So he was doing his job, not grounds for arrest. I also think Noem has the right to speak fully, so he should have allowed her to finish her statements, even if he felt like they were condemning him and his policies. She shouldn't expect silence in return for her saying things that he felt that offended him and completely went against what he stands for. But he should have waited until she opened it up to the press and conversation to have dialogue, because obviously Noem was open to talking to him. She talked to him for 15 minutes after that, after he was uncuffed. And so, I think it wasn't a threat, though. I think this man is also a public servant, but also in a position where the issue is deeply personal. He's representing constituents. His family are also 2 Mexican immigrants that moved here, and he wants to understand real-time solutions about what the way forward is. He doesn't think that the way that they are moving forward in Los Angeles is appropriate, and so he's voicing the concerns, as we see by the protests of many Americans around the country. And so I think he was actively doing his job. Yes, he should have waited, but no, he absolutely should not have been arrested and tackled by 3 men on the ground because he wasn't lunging at her like about to fight. So we need to really stop pretending like that was happening.
He was pulled away.
No, he was on the ground arrested finally when he was going through.
After he was pulled away because he was resisting. He was fighting back. He was fighting to get closer to her. You can't do that.
He wants to ask a question. He was
then you can wait in the question line like everybody else. I mean, this is just ridiculous to me. He was going for this. This is what it seems obvious to me.
Trying to do this.
I think
he was already in a building that he
belongs
in because he actually has credentials to be in there. First of all, you can't just willy-nilly stroll into a building that's a federal building and just say, "Oh, I have a question to ask." Like, we couldn't just get in there. So he was in the building. You think he was stalking her schedule and said, no, he said he was actually working in the building, saw her pass him in the hallway and was like, "Let me go listen in." And then she said something that he felt was egregious and spoke up in that moment instead of waiting his turn. That's the mistake that he made. I was not waiting till it was time to speak.
About 2 weeks ago, I was at the White House for a press event. Trump was getting off a helicopter, coming into the White House. It's a federal building. I'm authorized to be there. I had a press credential, and I was approved by security. If I had jumped that little gate they put in front of us to keep us a little bit from Trump,
yelled out a question,
and I could have yelled out a question,
and that would have been.
But if I'd gotten closer to him, Secret Service would have. They probably did more than tackle me. They might have shot me on sight, and they'd be justified of doing so. I'm kidding a little bit. They should not just shoot people at random, but you can't do that. You just can't do that, even if you're a senator. Sorry. That's my view.
Look, I said that two things can be true. I don't think he should have waited his turn, but he also should not have been arrested.
That does it for us today on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate you watching. See you tomorrow.